Finance Committee for November 24th, 2025. Marla, would you like to take the presence of quorum?
Kurt Woniger,
Present.
Patrick Tam,
Here.
John Dart.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Marla. I'd like to open the meeting, approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, which I think was September 22nd, 2024.
Make a motion to approve the meetings from September, meeting minutes from September, excuse me.
Second. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay. Marla, did you get that?
I sure did.
Okay. First thing, update on the payroll audit, Marla.
Sure. So Lauren and I met with Jim Butts, the fire union president, and Ryan Heron, the DVP, last week on Wednesday. I felt like it was productive and a positive conversation from my perspective. We had an open discussion. We clarified questions. I felt like, I think Lauren echoed this, that we felt like it really strengthened the lines of communication between my office and them. They appreciated, or I think they did. I hate to put words in their mouth, but we felt like they appreciated the transparency we were offering them, and we did walk them through some of our processes in detail. We discussed Ryan's dislike of paper checks and presented really the only other option, which would be direct deposit, but that can take significantly longer. We agreed that there's a lot of value, obviously, in accuracy, consistency, and collaboration. I felt very encouraged by the meeting and feel like moving forward, it's going to help ensure clearer communication and confidence, likely, from their perspective. As far as the audit goes, I feel like everything remains on track from my perspective. I want to continue coordinating with our auditors, SBOA, while also working collaboratively with administration. That process has been a little slow for all of us, just timing-wise. And I want to absolutely maintain internal controls, provide documentation, support external auditors once any engagement scope is finalized, and then we hope to follow that same statutory process that governs any audit as far as a municipal audit would be. And then I don't know, there's nothing really required from the committee on the topic, but that's up to you guys.
When do you, I guess I'm not sure you answered the question for me. When is the audit expected to be completed, or is it complete?
Well, I spoke with Mayor about that last week also. No, it's not begun. So we need to collaborate on the, basically the audit standards and, you know, how it's going to be paid for. Because I don't know if it was contemplated in either budget administration or mine. I feel like maybe I could come up with half, but it wouldn't begin. We're under audit, as you know, right now, and then immediately we'll jump back into the 2025 ACFR compilation. So I explained to Mayor that I felt like, you know, it really has to be coordinated so that our time, we make good use of our time with an audit. Right, so to enter into another audit at this juncture would be really complicated.
What's the expected cost, or what's the cost? Is it just your team's time?
No, the estimated cost at this juncture has been around $50,000.
But that's based on your people's time to do the audit, or
No, that's based on an auditor's time.
Got it, okay. But I guess the question in my mind too is, are there any outstanding payments due firefighters, or is that all cleaned up and this is just an audit of the entire process?
Well, what I explained to Ryan and Jim was the way that I had approached this audit was that we would have possibly an actuary come in because because of the delay in the 401A payment, but only an actuary could really determine any formula. So there would be a possibility that, you know, we may owe them more depending on what they find. But I couldn't even hazard a guess at this point right now. Other than that, I feel like everything has been addressed.
Alright, so are Jim and Ryan aligned with you then as far as potential timing and everything that goes along with an upcoming audit?
I felt like they were, but I hate to put words in anybody else's mouth.
Okay.
So Marla, in regards to getting to a point where we engage with somebody, what kind of time frame are we looking at, and who needs to be involved with that? And I would say, my thought is for 50K, I say we'd run side by side, two auditors running independent audits of this. It's that important when you look at payroll and, you know, retirement, perf, taxes, penalties, if people have to pay penalties, if there's employees no longer with the city anymore, what's those ramifications? If somebody set up a legal lawsuit against the city for improper payment over a period of time, how far back do we go? There's a lot.
Well, we're still trying to discuss that scope, and that's something I actually had just emailed the mayor today, and he had proposed a meeting on December 1st, but it doesn't work into my schedule, so I'd ask him if we could just meet here soon after the end of the year and we start to get everything closed out. I'd like to have that discussion with him.
Okay. Have you contracted with any legal regarding this matter yet on your end?
Well, yeah, you guys should know that.
Have you entered in with any other external auditors or anything with this process yet?
I've had discussions with both Crow and with Forvis.
And who have you retained as legal?
David Corbett from Krieg DeVault. That happened, I think, last February. So to that end, you guys have, you know, been approving those through the claims docket.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm aware, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Committee? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to ACFR status update.
Okay, well, as you know, Baker Tilly is the firm that is preparing the city's external audit, or sorry, compiling the ACFR. And we, in my office, still maintain cash basis records, complete reconciliations, provide supporting documentation, and then Baker Tilly, along with Kelly's help, which has really been fantastic, they do the gap conversion schedules, and the ACFR compilation is the responsibility of the external accountants, not really my office, but because that's what we are doing, we are certainly engaged there. So my understanding is almost all of the remaining documents have now been provided to Baker Tilly, which means they've then been provided to Forvis, and we are now actively engaged in audit testing, which means they send us typically a list of invoices that how do I want to say this? They send us certain items that they want to have tested, and then we send them back the invoices to kind of prove out what they're asking about. And the staff has been incredibly responsive to that. Unfortunately, the current pace probably means that the audit won't be completed by December 31st. And my communication with Forvis is that it appears a February completion date is probably more realistic. So while we're doing this audit, we'll start to close 2025 and then send 2025 information to Baker Tilly, and they'll start that compilation process all over again for the 2025 ACFR. And then the goal would be to have the compilation and that audit complete completed for submission for a GFOA Certificate of Achievement all before June 30th of next year.
Kelly, I think you're online, aren't you? Okay, is there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah,
Is there anything you wanted to add?
no, I think Marla did a great job of describing it. You know, unfortunately, the one thing that we can't control is how quickly Corvus goes through this audit process. We were hoping they would get it done by the end of the year. But I haven't been involved in those communications, so if unfortunately they're telling Marla it's not gonna be till the end of February, there's nothing we can do with that. And Marla, we can talk about this offline. I'm hoping they can get it done at the end of February, just so we can turn around and get the 2025 ACFR done on time. But you and I can talk about that offline to make sure that they stay on task, because I'm just thinking about under a normal audit schedule, we would get them the information for the audit in April, and they would have to have that done by June. So I know they started their audit procedures back in October. So it sounds like they're taking a little bit longer. So I just want to, you know, and I know you're committed to us trying to get this back on track, but we're going to need them to get the audit wrapped up by the end of February, so we've got beginning balances, so Baker Tilly can build out the 2025 ACFR and we meet that April time frame.
Yep, sounds good.
Thanks, Marla. Thanks, Kelly. Any other discussion on the ACFR status, or we'll move on to the next item?
No questions from me.
Okay. Discussion of the 27th pay. Marla, you wanna cover that, or Danielle?
I think it's more Marla. I think she has everything that,
Okay, I guess okay, we can skip to that. Did you want to discuss some of the other items that at least I guess I had in a different order?
No, what's on the topic right now is the discussion on the 27th pay.
Okay.
But
Okay, sorry, I had a little bit different order, that's fine. So I included on your agenda the appropriation ordinance that's needed to fund that 27th pay. And just for clarity, technically it really occurs because of the 2026 calendar. So this is really a timing driven requirement that's caused by biweekly payroll schedules and the January 1st banking holiday. It's a pretty standard timing issue that most cities encounter periodically anyway, when operating on a bi-weekly payroll schedule like we do. It's pretty predictable based on the calendar when it comes up, but an appropriation is simply required so that payroll is issued correctly. It's not caused by any particular action or oversight, it's just a function of the payroll cycle and the banking holiday.
so the ordinance that's included tonight, I haven't looked at it yet, but the ordinance that's included tonight is just to make that payment, and you've got it laid out in the ordinance, what those dollar amounts by department basically, or by, how did you lay?
So actually Kelly put together a really nice spreadsheet based on the January through June payrolls, and that gives us a really decent idea of what's going to pay. And then sometimes we would include every single line that it affects, but because I have sort of what I refer to as the answer key in that spreadsheet, we were able to really look at them in a broader sense under personal services for each fund that's going to hit. So the ordinance is reflective of that.
Okay, so the other thing that was always under discussion, but I think we got it resolved, is it'll come out of the 2025 budget, and it'll come from 2025 salaries, correct, with prior to increases. I think that was agreed to, and that's what the ordinance shows?
Yeah, cause these people are working in 2025
Correct.
under 2025 rates, not
Correct.
2026.
So-
Right.
So they'll get paid what day? Will they get paid?
December 31st.
They will get paid on December
Day
31st.
early.
Okay,
Yeah, for time that actually was in 2025.
okay. Are you presenting tonight, or is Danielle? Who's presenting this tonight?
It's Marla.
I'm going to be attending virtually again, so I can do that as well.
Okay, just,
Is there anything further that you want me to add? Otherwise, this would, essentially, I'd be kind of repeating what we're talking about now.
Well, I think the rest of the council may have some questions, so, I mean, I think that would be wise just to do a brief explanation.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
Does this typically occur on a reoccurring cycle like every 4 years, or is it just odd?
Every 11.
This is Kelly, it's every 11 years.
And so
Um,
to add to that, Kelly, the next one that would occur is gonna be 2037.
I won't be here.
yeah, and Kurt will be in assisted living. So we'll just broadcast.
John will be.
As I say,
And if-
John remembers
And I did
11 years ago was when I was with the city, and Chris, you remember it too, that happened. Yeah, it was one of those things that comes up periodically and then kind of, I hate to say catches you off guard, but
Yeah.
administrations change, people change, and it just gets missed, so. Go ahead, Marla.
And I can,
Or-
there was an email, this is Kelly again, there was an email I sent out back in September that I can, resend out that had all the support for doing this 27th pay. It had, the Indiana code, it had State Board of Accounts information and GFOA that discusses it.
Good.
And if you want, we can send you the detailed spreadsheet that goes along with the ordinance.
Yeah, Kelly, if you could just resend that email, that'd be helpful.
Yep. Sure.
Any other items of discussion for the 27th pay?
So, this is a, introduction. Does it get approved tonight? It goes back
No,
to the 24th or whenever,
The 8th.
A public,
no, it'd be,
right, yeah.
sorry. We've got it's slated to go, to the publisher, right, about the public hearing. And it would appear, this is an introduction, and it would appear again on the December 8th agenda for approval.
Okay, yep. Got it.
Didn't mean to interrupt anybody, so if you had something to add, I apologize.
Any other discussion?
No, we're good.
And Marla, maybe the confusion is I'm following the agenda that was posted, not what is kind of in the document, so that's maybe why.
No,
So
you're totally fine.
next item is the gravity update.
For me, my update would be that as far as I know, the contract is still under legal review with Caitlin. I did have the occasion to speak to Kelly, and I think that we're aligned, that if the city's gonna proceed with implementation, that we think based on everything else, maybe we shouldn't begin that implementation until June of 2026, so it doesn't interfere with Act for Prep or the audit cycle. But again, I'm not a big fan of putting words in anybody else's mouth, so I'll let her speak for herself when I'm done. But I feel like the timing is very important, and it actually would help with reporting calendar and like internal controls. But I do owe Megan Gagno at Gravity a phone call back, and I'll do it once I know kind of where we are with that legal review. But just for context, I did bring Gravity forward. Kelly had knowledge of the use of it because she was involved in an implementation down with my friend Heather, who is the controller for Jeffersonville. And so I sat through 3 demonstrations of the whole thing, and I'm totally supportive of it as far as a tool. Um, but I don't know if there have been any other recent conversations that I really haven't been involved in, but at least Kelly and I are openly exchanging that information. So that's all I've got for now on that.
So for my benefit, cause it's been probably 3 months since this presentation, could you or Kelly just give me a 1 minute or less update on Gravity and what services they would provide? I'll remember if you tell me, but I'm kind of at a blank right now. Oh, do-
So they provide an additional layer, if, so to speak, in that would be on top of nav, and um, they can pull things from our financial software that down the line will help Kelly better produce work papers for the ACFR process. But we've already got Baker Tilly engaged, and so from my perspective, I don't see that that would alleviate or rescind the need to have them involved in the 2025 ACFR. It's going to happen so fast that we really couldn't utilize Gravity. I don't feel like with Baker Tilly right now. So to me, that's why it seems appropriate to wait, and then it will be in place for 2027. And as opposed to trying to rush through implementation and putting even more pressure on me, on my office, on getting this all done, it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense for me. And Kelly's been a huge part of that ACFR, so I feel like moving forward, the preparation of those work papers, that's not even something my office does. So I think it will help her, but I think it's totally appropriate to wait, and I'll let her chime in and see what she has to say.
Hey, thanks, Marla. So just going off what Marla said, at this point, I mean, it's the end of December, or in December, oh my gosh, just fast forward a month. It's the end of November. And Marla and I are both committed to trying to get the 2025 ACFR done on time, and trying to implement a new software at this point. I am really afraid it would delay that process. And so Gravity is a reporting module that specifically is geared towards the ACFR, so the annual comprehensive financial report. It also can do a couple of the other GFOA reports that is a goal of ours, the budget book and the PAFR. That's the popular annual financial report. In addition, there's a lot of transparency with monthly reports that we'll be able to do. But I'm sure that you all can appreciate that anytime you implement a new software, there's always hiccups that you don't always anticipate. And especially, we're getting ready to go into holiday season here and vacations and time off. Um, and this will be our second year with Baker Tilly. I would like to take advantage of Baker Tilly actually going through our ACFR for a second time before we go through this implementation of Gravity. Baker Tilly does do the compilation for Jeffersonville, so they are familiar with Gravity, but not this version of it. So there will be a learning curve for them as well. And to Marla's point, starting to do this Gravity implementation next June seems to make the most sense. So I am on board with waiting just 6 months and letting Baker Tilly get through a second ACFR with us, letting them streamline their processes, and then kind of during their non-busy time and our non-busy time, getting this implementation done. I just think it makes the most sense. So I'm excited for the product. It's a great product, and it's really going to innovate things. But to Marla's point, we don't want to hurry through it. We want to take our time with it and do it right the first time.
So what's the estimated cost of the contract with Gravity? And I asked the question because Marla, when you and I were discussing your budget, several months ago, you had said, I think you had a line item for gravity. And you said, well, I have 50% of the cost in my budget and 50,
No, no, it's not 50%, that's for sure. I just budgeted $25,000 for like what I considered my piece of it, but it's a much bigger implementation and far more costly, so my piece would be added to administration's budget to cover that.
okay, so is there alignment on that, Kelly?
Yes, cause I checked with, Chris, and I'm putting you on the spot and I apologize, but I think Chris checked his budget for 2026 and Chris, please correct me if I'm wrong, but you thought you had room for, our portion of gravity?
Yeah, we have room for it this year, not next year.
Yeah,
We could
but
encumber funds.
So that's what you do is encumber it?
if we wanna
have a contract.
dedicate it
We have to have a
to
contract.
software
Caitlin
funds.
gets a contract review, then he can encumber them.
I will say, in my defense, it is not with me. I will say that. I have a
Yeah,
bunch of
you-
contracts, but this is not on my list, so.
Yeah, she's already reviewed the contract, so.
Who has? Well, I thought you said it's not on your,
It's not, I have already
think
reviewed
she's
it.
already reviewed it and gotten
Yep.
it back to us.
gotcha, okay. This is kind of an oddball question, but there's gonna be time and energy and effort put into onboarding gravity next year. And we just talked about a salary audit for firefighters, which I think is probably just as important, if not more important. Will there be any conflicts with these two big initiatives taking place?
3 or 4 initiatives.
Well, yeah, but
Well, it absolutely is because the initiatives are so big, right? It becomes kind of a bandwidth issue. And
that's what my concern is.
I think we all have to be aligned, quite frankly, but I appreciated that, Kelly and I feel similarly. There might be, a piece of it, because Gravity was offering kind of a piece that had to do with communications that was based on, I think, the city's willingness to move forward with Gravity, but I don't really want to speak to that piece.
Look, I'm leaving it up to you and Kelly to say that this is the right thing to do for the city. And if you and Kelly say this is what we're gonna do, fantastic. I think you're gonna get support from the finance committee here. My question though is really, if I had a choice between implementing gravity or finishing the audit that the firefighters have been asking for, I would put that first.
Absolutely, and that's why
Okay.
I think moving it to June makes sense.
Okay, so all right.
So get yourself some time before you execute this, potentially.
Well, yeah, and
Absolutely.
I've spoken with Counselor Dart about this before. I mean, we have a lot of priority projects, right? But when you're handed more than a dozen priority projects, I mean, something has to rise to the top, and certainly the firefighters' request for a payroll audit has always been near the top.
Marla, you can't see us, but I don't think John and I are disagreeing with you whatsoever. We understand.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I make sure that it doesn't come to first quarter of next year, whenever it is, and we go, gosh, we got all these big initiatives, something's gonna have to suffer. And I'm just going on record to say the payroll audit shouldn't be the thing that suffers, that's all.
Right, and that's why,
We're aligned.
I don't have a better way to say it, but I think this implementation is the thing that needs to be moved back.
Okay,
Yeah, we're cool.
Okay.
thank
So
you.
with the gravity contract, it's been reviewed, it's kinda in limbo right now. What's the status of moving it forward? Is just putting a new timeline on it to when they're gonna get started, or
Well, like I said, I have not,
who's
other than Megan Gagno actually sent me an email today, which, the timing of that this morning was kind of interesting, but, I don't know what Caitlin's review was. Hopefully, and that's something, again, we can talk about offline, but I don't know what she found in that contract, nor do I know what the expectations are as far as like procurement and signing of the contract goes. But I would just simply say where my input is, it has to do with implementation. Period. Timing.
Okay. My recommendation would be you and Kelly and Caitlin get together with Chris and just kind of discuss the path moving forward for that contract.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, and then I guess this isn't part of the top, or this isn't part of this topic, but I guess part of it in the future with NAV. Is NAV something we're gonna continue to move forward when we go to a second class city, or are we looking at a new software, or have we started looking at new softwares, and when, I guess, the what ifs and whens?
Well, from my perspective, we're not gonna be changing financial softwares until I'm gone. So any decision that needs to come can happen after December 31st, 2027. But that ball will not be in my court at that juncture.
Well, what I'm getting,
And
what I'm getting at,
go ahead.
Marla, it cannot start after December 31st, after you're no longer in this position. We gotta get started mid next year, end of next year. We gotta get started and basically run parallel for 1 year before we do the transition to make sure the books and everything ticks and ties together. I never implemented a software or anything in billing cycles or with water and sewer or trash, anything, until I ran it parallel. And John, I think, was part of it, and Chris was part of it. We ran 4 months parallel until we got it to the pennies. So we gotta make sure, yes.
Yeah, Kurt, if you're referencing the last change, that was from Keystone to NAV in around 2014. And it was actually, they ran parallel systems for 2 years. So
I wasn't referring to that one, and I wasn't part of it. I was already gone from the city at that time. I was talking about
okay.
water and sewer, trash and stormwater billing.
Yeah, so for my part, I will not be participating in that.
Well, you won't be participating in it, but you'll be providing the data and information that will be needed to run those in parallel.
No, that's not been a discussion. I think this is something we better discuss at some other time.
But no,
Because I have no knowledge of shifting from NAV to anything else.
yeah, because no business would start a new software just overnight, so, okay.
Right.
Budget entry into NAV, that's a topic on here. I did not. Yep.
You do not what?
I don't think I added that one or that wasn't mine. Did you add that
Well,
agenda?
no, that came on your email.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I updated what you asked. So the NAV is unlocked. It's available to receive departmental budget entries. Originally, I had given probably a date that was too soon given the Thanksgiving holiday, so Danielle had requested an extension last week to move it to December 5th, and I totally agreed, and so that's where we are.
Appreciate that. I think department heads have been starting to enter. There was just several that were gonna be off this week, so they didn't have time to get it in by the 1st.
Yeah, my mistake. I did add that. I forgot what it was. Okay. Any other topics on budget entry?
Marla, is there anything specific that you want the department heads to be aware of? Entries?
No, I mean, once they have them entered, I'll review them to make sure that they match what we put in on Form 1 and what you had created in the binder. I know right now Misha is on vacation, and there's one department that was having difficulty seeing all the funds that they needed to, but that was actually Parks and Chris McConnell, and I told him I'd be happy to work with him to make sure he can see those when she gets back. Due to a recent software update, Misha's computer would only work on-prem, so she couldn't even take it with her. So she'll be back on December 1st, and we'll move forward and get that all taken care of. But I'm not trying to put anybody under the gun more than obviously it needs to be done, and then double checked and triple checked for accuracy.
Okay. Hearing no more discussion regarding that matter, we'll move to reports, revenue summary. Everybody get a chance to look at that?
So, just for your awareness, we included the September reports since we didn't have that October meeting due to scheduling conflicts. But the October reports are not done. They're going to be later than usual, and they're later than ever. That is partially due to a new system that Stormwater had implemented, but not completely. There's no blame there, more than it's become very, very difficult for that department to reconcile. So we are working with them, they are working with us. And so because it was so difficult, I reached out to John Nail last week, and I provided several recommendations to him that might help streamline their process. He sounded really receptive and indicated that he was going to work with Stormwater staff and that they would actually implement those. And I know that's underway now because of some emails from today. So we're hoping that that eases that process. But in addition to that, once Stormwater was completed on, the reconciliation of Stormwater was completed on Thursday, but then we have to reconcile the corporate account, and then Empower created an issue because they did a fund pull, but they've been combining some amounts and not always taking the right amount out of the right appropriation line via that API. So we had to reach out to them to get that corrected and have now resolved that issue. So I included the September reports, which you guys have now had for quite a while, and I'm hoping that you want to discuss your observations regarding the reports, as has been my request. As you know, I think I've said this a few times, I prepare them and you need to analyze them.
Yeah,
So do you guys have any questions?
I guess one of the questions is, we always see the revenue month to date and then the revenue year to date. Is there a way in for this report that we could see it month by month and have the revenue year to date, have the previous year's revenue to date next to it so we can see if it's in alignment with previous years or if it's trailing behind or ahead?
That'd be a completely different report, but we can probably do that for you. There is an old report that I had been looking at. It's essentially like basically a cash flow. The problem there is that it never worked quite right when we had it. It wasn't pulling the right data. But again, it's, implementation of one more thing. And so I don't want to profess that that's easy, but it's not the biggest ask in the world. It's just one of those things that would take time. Do I think we can do it? Yes. Do I think it'll take some time? Yes.
John, Patrick, do you guys think that'd be beneficial to see month over month and then
Yeah.
previous years?
I do too.
Yeah, just for comparison's sake.
Yep.
I think it's fine. I just would ask, like, when you have the information, what are you going to do with it? Because I feel sometimes like I'm being asked for things that I don't know that they go anywhere. It certainly creates a lot of work, but, I want to ensure that it's something that you guys will be willing to look at and then comment on. And I don't mean to put you on the spot. There's been a lot asked.
It's a
reports.
It's a valid question. I mean, the revenue report is the numbers that you're putting into the report, and you're only putting in the numbers in the report that you're given. So I don't know what type of analysis you do on the back end to ensure that. I think it's John, one time how we figured out we weren't getting all of our food and beverage tax. We were looking at trailing and this.
That and some other taxes, yeah.
Those numbers should have been going up because we were growing in population, but they weren't going up. They were staying the same. So if there's ways that we can analyze that information and ensure that, hey, why is this one dropping off? This used to be higher. There's got to be an explanation behind it. Maybe it's a valid, I guess, explanation behind it, but maybe there are something happened. You know, somewhere that somebody all of a sudden accidentally forgot to send us that revenue. I think the cigarette tax one time was like that. They didn't give it to us for a while.
We had some MVH issues a long time ago.
Yeah, so I mean, we're seeing that kind of month by month and sometimes they might only come in quarters or something like that, so we can see that and understand it. Then we can understand if there's discrepancies in those numbers.
I think it's a fair ask. I'll take it under advisement and see what kind of output I can give you on a timeline.
Yeah, I mean, only other way I could do it is I could take each of these PDFs and convert them to Excel documents and throw them on Excel documents and line them up. That's the only way I can do it, to analyze it, so. Okay, the fund report, did anybody have any questions on the fund report, or Marla, was there anything you wanted to point out in here?
No, like I said, I mean, they're September reports, so.
Yeah.
My office has moved past those.
Okay. And then the appropriation reports as of September, everybody was in their ranges and things like that, it looked good. I know we're at the point now, we gotta do additional appropriations that encumber money into next year, so that'll change everything. Okay. Any other questions of the finance committee regarding the fund appropriation report? Or the revenue report?
Not here.
Move on to, I guess, next thing is the CT investments update 2024.
Yeah, so I think I've reported twice already on 2024 year-end investments, and I'm gonna say I assumed perhaps that your question was a typo, but I can't do year-end 2025 until the year-end is closed. So based on your previous request for an investment report, I managed to get this created for you, and if it's amenable, it's a report that I can do monthly, and would be more than happy to do monthly. But what it really shows you are actual like bank balances on the day they're reported. And I'm sure you all can understand that those balances are just a snapshot in that time that when I'm creating them of what you're looking at.
Marla,
Did you?
we're looking at the chart, the rainy day investments.
Oh, okay, so this is yes, there is a small cash balance. Sorry, it should have just said rainy day and not rainy day investment necessarily, but there is money both in corporate checking and then also in investments in the treasuries. And so what you're looking at is really the combined
Yeah.
rainy day fund.
Question though is that all account names, when you add up the investments and the treasuries and the accounts, they all total in the far column. That one doesn't total. What's going on there? Why is it? It should be 11 million, almost $12 million, and it shows 3.4 million.
Sorry, hang on one second.
That's
It's
8,000.
Oh, it's 8,000. There you go.
Yeah, I'm like, never mind, Marla. You didn't ask.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna have to go to my formula and see if I goofed it up, but there you go.
He was thinking that was 8 million, not
Yes,
8,000.
yep, exactly. It looks good.
Marla, what's the difference between the Grand Park and the GPS? I know what GPSE escrow is, but the Grand Park account or item.
So, we had that past like operating account for Grand Park. So that money that fund has money in it. And then we had an escrow account for Grand Park that had to do with the diamond escrow.
Yeah.
And now we have the GPSE escrow account. So they are all handled differently and kept within those certain funds, But I think it could be decided by you guys with more discussion about how you would like us to treat those funds moving forward. Because I don't know, there should not be any more revenue into the general escrow account, which was that diamond escrow account. I think with the agreement, the management agreement in place that ended, but, you know, I would want clarity on all of that.
Sure.
Any other questions on the, and I apologize, I made this agenda, was on my phone, so I did leave the 2024 year-end performance on there, that was my mistake. So I didn't delete that section from my phone. Okay, any other items on the investments? If not, we'll move to city administration comments. Danielle?
Just for your awareness, as things are coming to a close, right, for the year end, I know that there will be an updated fee schedule, coming to you guys at council, but also, Marla has sent out, Marla, sorry, I'm stealing your thunder on, encumbrances, but, as normal, we're working through encumbrances right now, the departments are, so they have to have a contractor, in place currently to move money from this year to next year. So that's all.
I'm sorry, something just happened to the audio and I can't hear a word that Danielle's saying. I heard steal your thunder, an encumbrance, and now I can't hear anything.
How about now?
Can you hear me, Marla?
Better,
Okay. Yeah, I just
sorry.
said that, we are working through encumbrances and that will be coming before them, at council.
Yes, I've written that, the encumbrance paperwork, Caitlin reviewed it, I now need to update it. It's going to, obviously hit your agenda for December 8th, cause we need to keep moving forward in order to get everything closed and transferred.
I think the only other thing, Marla, and I don't know if you're gonna talk about that, but when's the last date for us to submit things for, claims? That would be,
I think I already sent out an email on that, but I believe it was noon on the 17th. And I apologize, I don't have it right here in front of me.
no, I think you're right, that was in the encumbrances email.
What fees, you said a increase in fees, but I thought we just approved a bunch of increased fees.
Updated fee schedule.
That was an updated fee
That
schedule
was the
to
updated fee
include
schedule.
golf carts and a few others, so we always look at that,
In the parking.
yeah, parking garage.
So this will be everything but those, or this will,
Yeah, more than, yes, like
Yeah,
everybody,
just
we
good.
update it every year, make sure that we're in line with
okay,
other municipalities and
so this will be filing fees and everything else that
Section fees.
inspection fees,
Standard
permit
fee.
fees,
Okay,
yes.
got it.
Nothing else on this city.
Okay, thanks Danielle. Clerk treasurer comments?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to discuss with you guys, what I believe is really the purpose of the finance committee. So, from my perspective, you're working under an advisory, you're supposed to be an advisory and a review body. And, you know, you need to be reviewing the financial reports every month, and then you need to report that to the council, the full council. So I understand that you're gonna make requests of me and that you have questions that need to be clarified, but it has felt recently like you may think that you have some supervisory or managerial authority over my office. So I just wanted to take this time to be clear that I provide you from a statutory perspective what I'm supposed to, but these meetings aren't a substitute for discussion. And I don't feel like we're having much of a discussion about like looking at ordinances in advance or talking about the budget. So this is very difficult for me to say, but I don't feel like you get to just supervise and direct what I'm gonna report back to you. We should be working far more collaboratively, and so I've attended the meetings that I have, more or less as a courtesy, so that I can provide you explanation when you have questions. But I'm reporting what I need to from a statutory perspective. So I don't work subordinately to you, and nor does anybody else, not administration or. So I just wanted to say that I'm really, I don't have to produce all these custom reports and answer to all these requests that you're making. I'm doing what I can to rise to the occasion to meet your requests. So I just hope that you continue to treat me with the same level of professionalism and respect that I hope you feel like I treat you guys with. And I'm committed to accuracy and transparency and cooperation and all the things. But I'm really doing this with a great deal of goodwill, even when I feel like it's a challenge. So I want to say that I'm offering this statement with some gratitude and a sincere desire to get along with everyone. But my role is to maintain the city's financial integrity and support council's understanding of the information. So I'm going to keep doing that, and I just hope that we can kind of continue moving forward with respect and shared commitment to the taxpayers and residents. And that's all I've got.
Okay, council comments?
Nothing from me.
Okay, I think the only thing I would say, kind of a follow-up to Marla's, I don't feel like we're directing you or your employees to do anything. You are a public servant, just like we are. And as public servants in the roles that we do as council and on the finance committee, we may request reports or have reports requested to have explanations on as part of a public servant of the community, as well as in your position as a public servant. So we are also taxpaying citizens of the city of Westfield, so just like if I was on this committee and somebody public asked for something, they would have the right to potentially have that, or you can withhold it as well. So I would say,
Well,
I don't know, it's council comments. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Appreciate that.